dry spot. Welcome, night dwellers, to the night realm. I am the Night Queen, and this is Paranormal Wednesday. Hello, Debs. Hello, Lisa McConnell. Hello, everyone. Hello, Amber. Can everyone hear the sound effects? Hello, Lulu. We have our scary ghost whisperer tonight. Too loud? Or just right? A little? What about now? Hello, Tara. Better? Great? Perfect? Awesome. Tonight is Paranormal Wednesday. Tonight you share your stories. I have a story, but I want to hear from you. So tonight is the night to share it. Don't be bashful. You're with family. If you've ever had something that has chilled you, a bump in the night, a ghostly whisper, tonight's the night to share it. This is the month to share it. October. I've had quite a few chilling things happen here lately myself. Oh yes. Another haunted house, I wonder? But tonight I want you to come in for the next couple of hours and just enjoy yourselves. Let the cares of the world just melt away as I tell you, or as you tell me, a bedtime story. This is the Night Realm. I am the Night Queen. And it's time for my night dwellers to hear about Cry Baby Bridge. This is the Cry Baby Bridge that is in Kentucky and is chilling. But first, let's go into story time the right way, shall we? Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Light a candle to chase away the shadows. Pull your curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to crawl up your spine. And let's begin. I will see when someone comes into the box and I will immediately let you in. But right now, I will start with Cry Baby Bridge. They found 4 bodies at Cry Baby Bridge on Van Meter Road on November the 1st, 2018. Rachel Hayes, Tyler Brooks, Emma Garrison, Cody Mitchell. The 2 boys were 18. The 2 girls were 17. All dead on the rocks below. The police called it a tragic accident, but they couldn't explain the video found on all 4 phones. The video that showed something impossible, something that shouldn't exist. 3 weeks earlier, another girl had died at that same bridge. Her name was Brianna Cole. The police called it an unaliving. But those who know the legend of Cry Baby Bridge in Kentucky, they know better. Those who know the legend understand the truth. There is a woman who haunts Cry Baby Bridge. A woman who cries out in the dead of night for her child. And it's on Halloween night that people go and try to taunt. That people try to go and figure out if the legend is true. Most of them don't come back. She doesn't forgive. She doesn't forget. And on Halloween night 2018, 4 teenagers went to test the legend. This is the story of what happened on that fateful night. Chapter 1. 3 weeks before, Brianna Cole, October the 10th, 2018, at 11:47 p.m. Brianna Cole's hands gripped the steering wheel as she drove down the dark country road toward Cry Baby Bridge. The moon hung huge and full in the October sky, so bright that it cast shadows across the asphalt. An autumn moon, orange and swollen, looking too close to the earth. The kind of moon that made you believe in things that shouldn't be real. Wind howled through the trees on either side of the road, making the branches sway and creak. Dead leaves scattered across her headlights like small animals fleeing. The temperature had dropped to the low 40s, unusual for early October in Kentucky, and Brianna could see her breath fogging the windshield. She turned up the heat and checked her rearview mirror. Not one car behind her, no cars ahead. She was completely alone out here. Just the way the legend required. Brianna had spent 3 months researching Cry Baby Bridge for her AP history project. She'd interviewed elderly residents who remembered the tragedy. She'd combed through newspaper archives from 1958. She tracked down distant relatives of a young girl called Elizabeth Crane. And everything pointed to the same conclusion. The legend was real. Not the silly version that kids tell at sleepovers. The real story was darker, sadder, more tragic than anyone wanted to admit. Elizabeth Crane had been 19 years old in 1958, unmarried, pregnant, in a small Kentucky town where the kind of shame could destroy your life. Her father was the local minister, and he was cruel and harsh. The community had turned on her, called her everything you could think of, said her baby was cursed. Her father told her, get rid of the sin. On October the 31st, 1958, Halloween night, Elizabeth had walked to the bridge with her 3-month-old son, Thomas. She'd stood at the edge and thrown him into the river below. Then she jumped after him. Both bodies were found the next morning, broken on the rocks. But according to Brianna's research, that wasn't where the story had ended. 7 people had died tragically at this bridge since 1958. All of them teenagers. All of them on October the 31st. And according to witnesses, all of them had been mocking the legend, making jokes, laughing about Elizabeth's dead baby. The legend said that if you stood on the bridge and called out 3 times, "Where's my baby? Where is my baby? Where is my baby?" Elizabeth's ghost would appear. She would rise up from the riverbank, floating through the air, searching for her lost child. And if she thought that you were mocking her pain, if she sensed cruelty or disrespect, she would make you pay. Brianna wasn't there to mock that night. She was there to document, to prove that the legend was real, to show that Elizabeth Crane deserves sympathy, not ridicule. Her GPS announced, "You've arrived at your destination." Brianna's headlights illuminated the bridge ahead. There it was, Cry Baby Bridge. It looked different than in the daytime photos that she'd studied. Darker, more menacing. The old steel and concrete structure seemed to absorb the moonlight rather than to reflect it. Shadows pulled beneath it like black water. The wind picked up, howling through the bridge's metal work frame. The sound was eerie, almost like crying, almost like a baby wailing in the distance. Brianna pulled her car to a stop about 20 feet from the bridge and put it in park. She left the engine running, headlights on, pointed at the side of the bridge. For a long moment, she just sat there leaning against the hood of her car, staring. The bridge was smaller than she'd expected, maybe 50 feet long, spanning what used to be a river but was now mainly just a dried creek bed full of rocks and dead brush. Graffiti covered the railings, names, dates, crude drawings, but none of it looked recent, as if people had stopped coming here years ago. The full moon hung directly above the bridge now, huge and orange, casting everything in an eerie amber glow. Shadows writhed beneath the structure, shifting and moving in ways that didn't quite match the swaying trees. Brianna took a breath and grabbed her phone from the passenger seat. She opened the camera app and hit record. Okay, it's time to do this. She stepped out of the car. The cold hit her immediately. It was much colder than it should have been, even for October. Her breath came out in thick white clouds. The wind whipped her dark hair around her face, and she had to hold her phone steady with both hands. The wind carried sounds with it, whispers, maybe, or just leaves rustling. But it felt like voices, like the darkness itself was speaking. Brianna walked toward the bridge, her phone's camera light illuminating her face from below, giving her a ghostly appearance. So hi guys, this is Brianna Cole, she said into the camera, her voice steady despite her fear. It's October the 10th, 2018, 11:52 p.m. I'm at the Crybaby Bridge on Van Meter Road in Jefferson County, Kentucky. The wind howled louder, as if the bridge was listening. Tonight, I'm here to test the legend of Elizabeth Crane. Brianna continued, walking closer to the bridge, to see if the stories are true. Now, I'm not out here on Halloween night, but I am here now. And I'm here to document what really happens when you call out to her spirit. I'm going to do it exactly the way the legend says to do it. Her feet touched the bridge. The concrete felt wrong beneath her shoes, too soft, almost spongy. Brianna walked to the center of the bridge, her phone lights bouncing with each step. She could hear the wind moaning through the metal framework, that eerie crying sound that never quite stopped. She reached the middle and stopped at the railing. The metal was ice cold when she touched it, burning her free hand. She looked down into the creek bed below. Just rocks and shadows and darkness. But in the moonlight, it looked like something more, like the shadows were deeper than they should be. She heard an owl howl in the distance, the sound of crickets. She peered further, like something was waiting down there in the darkness. Brianna lifted her phone, making sure the camera was still recording. Then she turned it around so it captured both her face and the view of the creek bed below her. So according to legend, she said, her voice slightly shaking now, but trying to portray confidence, if you stand on this bridge and call out, "Where is my baby?" 3 times, the spirit of Elizabeth Crane will appear. Do we try it or not? I say let's do. She'll rise up from the riverbank, floating in the air, searching for the child that she lost 60 years ago. She paused, taking a deep breath. I'm doing this respectfully, she said firmly. I'm not here to mock Elizabeth or make fun of her tragedy. I'm here to honor her story, to show that she was a victim and not a monster. Another deep breath. Okay, here we go. Brianna turned to face the creek bed, holding her phone up so the camera could capture everything. She gripped the railing with her other hand, and she spoke into the darkness. Where is my baby? The wind died instantly. Complete, total silence. Even the trees stopped moving. The world held its breath. Brianna's heart pounded. Nothing was happening. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe the legend really was just... No, she had to finish. 3 times. That's what the legend said, right? She spoke louder. Where is my baby? The temperature dropped another 20 degrees. Frost began forming on the metal railing beneath. Her hand spreading like ice across the bridge. Brianna could see her breath coming out in huge white clouds now. From somewhere below the bridge, she heard something. A sound that made her blood run cold. Guys, I think I hear a baby crying. Not in the distance. It was close. Directly below her, a newborn's desperate, hungry wail. Brianna's hand trembled as she held up her phone, making sure that it was still recording. This was it. This was real. She still had to say it one more time. She gripped the railing tighter and shouted into the darkness. Where is my baby? The words echoed. Where is my baby? Where is my baby? Where is my baby? Then from the creek bed below, something moved. A figure emerged from the shadows, rising, floating upward. A woman in a white nightgown, soaking wet, water streaming from her clothes, from her long dark hair, from her open mouth. Elizabeth Crane. She rose up, up, until she was level with the bridge and level with Brianna. Her face was pale, beautiful, young, exactly 19 years old, frozen at the age she died. But her eyes were wrong. They were completely black, empty, like looking into whales that had no bottom. And she was smiling, that terrible too-wide smile. Brianna couldn't move, couldn't breathe, could only stare at the ghost floating closer to her, water dripping from her, forming puddles on the concrete. You called for me, Elizabeth said, her voice like drowning, like water rushing over rocks. You asked about my baby. I didn't mean, Brianna stammered, still holding her phone up, still recording. I wanted to understand. Liar, Elizabeth hissed, and Brianna realized with horrible certainty that she'd made a terrible mistake. Elizabeth couldn't tell the difference, couldn't see that Brianna was trying to be respectful. 60 years of teenagers mocking her, laughing at her dead child, had broken something in her spirit. She saw just another threat, another person who'd come to hurt her. She neared closer to Brianna. No, please, Brianna begged, backing away from the railing. I wasn't mocking you, I swear. I know what happened to you. I know how they treated you. I'm sorry for what they did. But Elizabeth was floating closer, her empty black eyes boring into Brianna's. Where's my baby? Elizabeth whispered, her face now inches from Brianna's. Where is he? Brianna's back hit the opposite railing. She was trapped. I don't know, she sobbed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Elizabeth's ice cold hand shot out and grabbed Brianna's wrist. Where she touched, Brianna's skin turned white with frostbite, and Brianna saw everything. She saw 1958, saw the town turning on Elizabeth, saw the cruelty, the shame, the desperation, saw Elizabeth standing on the bridge with baby Thomas in her arms, crying, knowing she had no choice, saw her throw him over, saw her jump in after him. So 60 years of being trapped here, 60 years of teenagers coming to laugh, 60 years of rage building and building and building until there was nothing left but vengeance. Please, Brianna whispered one last time, but Elizabeth's smile only grew wider. And Brianna felt her body move against her will, felt herself climbing onto the railing, felt her legs swinging over the side. Her phone fell from her hand, clattering on the concrete, still recording. No, Brianna screamed. No, please, I don't want to. But her body wasn't hers anymore. Elizabeth was controlling it now, making her stand on the edge, making her look down at the rocks below. And then Brianna heard herself say, she says I have to jump. She says I have to jump. Her voice was not quite her own. She won't listen. She says I have to jump. And then she was falling. The last thing Brianna Cole saw was Elizabeth Crane's face, smiling down at her from the bridge, before the rocks rushed up to meet her, before everything went black, before the legend claimed another victim. If you enjoyed that first chapter, let me see some white hearts. And if you have a story to share, come on up in the box. Very good. Chapter 2. 3 weeks later. Rachel's guilt. October the 31st, 2018, 7:43 p.m. Rachel Hayes sat on her bedroom floor, her back against her bed, staring at her phone. Halloween night. 3 weeks to the day since Brianna died. The police had called it unaliving. That was it. Case closed. The funeral was over, and life was supposed to go back to normal. But Rachel couldn't let it go. Outside her window, she could hear children laughing, trick-or-treaters running down the street in their costumes, normal Halloween sounds, happy sounds. But all Rachel could think about was Brianna, standing on that bridge, alone, scared. And it was Rachel's fault. She pulled her knees up to her chest and pressed play on the video for the 100th time. The video that Brianna's mom had sent her a week ago, desperate for answers, begging Rachel to tell her if she noticed anything wrong with Brianna before she died. The video the police had found on Brianna's phone. The screen showed Brianna standing on Crybaby Bridge that night, illuminated by her phone's camera light. She looked tired. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying. Her hair was messy, whipping around in the wind. "I can't do this anymore," Brianna said on the video, her voice shaking. "I can't handle the pressure. College applications, grades, expectations, too much. I just want it all to stop." Rachel's throat tightened. She'd watched this video so many times now that she had it memorized. Brianna looked at the camera. "Mom? Dad? I'm sorry." Brianna continued, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry that I wasn't strong enough. I love you both so much, but I just can't keep going. The pain, it's too much." Brianna walked closer to the railing, the camera shaking. "I don't want to be alive anymore," she sobbed. "I don't want to feel like this anymore. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The video showed Brianna climbing onto the railing, and then it went black. The official timestamp on the video was 12:07 a.m., October the 11th, 2018. Unaliving herself. Depression. Academic pressure. That's what the police had concluded. That's what everyone believed. But Rachel, her best friend, she knew better. She set her phone down and picked up a framed photo from her nightstand. Her and Brianna from last year, both smiling, dressed up for homecoming. Brianna looked so happy in that picture, so alive. Rachel's eyes filled with tears, because she remembered the last conversation she'd had with Brianna. October the 9th, 2 days before Brianna had died. They'd been in the school library after class, and Brianna had been buzzing with excitement about her history project. "Rach, you have to see what I found," Brianna had said, pulling out pages and pages of research notes. "The legend is real. I mean, really real. Elizabeth Crane's story is so much sadder than people know. She wasn't a monster, Rach. She was a victim. And I'm going to prove it." "That's amazing, Bree," Rachel had said, only half listening, distracted from a text from Tyler. "I'm going to the bridge tomorrow night," Brianna had said, her eyes bright. "I need to test the legend, document it. Will you come with me?" Rachel had looked up from her phone. "Tomorrow night? Like October the 10th tomorrow night?" "Yeah, I mean, I know it's not Halloween and that's normally when she comes, but I can't wait that long. I need to finish the project. Please, Rach. I don't want to go out there alone." And Rachel had hesitated, because Tyler had just asked her out 2 weeks earlier. They just started dating, and he'd wanted to take her to the movies the next night. "I can't," Rachel had said. "Tyler and I have plans. Maybe this weekend? Maybe you could hold off and all four of us could go out there." Brianna's face had fallen slightly, but she forced a smile. "Yeah, sure, no worries. I'll just go by myself. It's fine." "Are you sure?" Rachel had asked, already feeling guilty. "Totally sure," Brianna had said. "I'll film everything and show you. It's going to be amazing. You and Tyler have a great time. What movie are you going to go see?" "I don't know yet." That was the last real conversation they'd had. The next morning, Brianna was dead. Rachel wiped her eyes roughly. The guilt ate at her every single day. If she'd just gone with Brianna, if she just said yes, if she'd just been there, maybe Brianna would still be alive. But the thing that haunted Rachel most wasn't just the guilt. It was the video itself. Because Rachel knew Brianna better than anyone, really knew her. They had known each other since middle school. Brianna had gotten early acceptance to University of Louisville, her dream school. She'd been so excited and cried when the letter of acceptance came. She was already planning her dorm room, talking about classes, looking at the band program because she loved playing clarinet. Brianna loved her family too. She talked about her parents and her little brother constantly. She was close with them in a way that Rachel envied. And her history project? Brianna had been obsessed with it in the best way. She'd spent months researching. She was genuinely passionate about telling Elizabeth Crane's real story. None of that sounded like someone who wanted to unalive themselves. None of that sounded like someone who couldn't handle the pressure. Brianna thrived on pressure. Rachel picked up the phone and watched the video again, but this time she paid attention to different things. Brianna's eyes, they kept darting to the side like she was looking at something off camera, something that scared her. Her voice, it shook, but not with depression, with fear. And the words themselves, they sounded wrong. Too scripted, like someone was making her say these things. Rachel paused the video right before Brianna climbed onto the railing. She zoomed in on Brianna's face, and she saw it. Something she hadn't noticed before because she'd been too focused on Brianna's words. Brianna's lips were moving, but they didn't quite match what she was saying. Like it was a couple seconds ahead. Like there was a tiny delay, like the audio had been... Rachel's blood ran cold. What if Brianna hadn't said those things at all? What if something else had been controlling her? Making her say them, making her jump. A knock on Rachel's bedroom door made her jump. "Rach, you almost ready, honey?" Her mom's voice came through the door. "Tyler just texted. He and the others are picking you up in 20 minutes. Rachel quickly wiped her eyes. "Yeah, Mom, I'm almost ready." She heard her mom's footsteps retreat down the hall. Rachel looked at her phone one more time, at Brianna's face frozen on the screen. "I'm coming," Rachel whispered to the image. "I'm going to find out exactly what really happened to you, Rach. I promise." She stood up and went to the closet, pulling out a jacket. She was really doing this. Tonight, Halloween night, 3 weeks after Brianna had died. She was going to Cry Baby Bridge with Tyler, Emma, and Cody. They were going to test the legend. They were going to call out to Elizabeth Crane. And Rachel was going to prove that Brianna did not unalive herself. Something on that bridge had unalived her best friend. And tonight, Rachel was going to find out what. She grabbed her phone, made sure it was fully charged, and headed downstairs. Her parents were in the living room. handing out candy to trick-or-treaters. "You kids be careful out there tonight," her dad said, giving her a serious look. "I know you're going to that bridge. I heard you and Tyler talking about it." "Dad, I'm not saying don't go," he interrupted. "I know you need to do this for Brianna foreclosure, but be smart and stay together. And if anything feels wrong, you leave immediately. Got it?" Rachel nodded, surprised. "Got it." Her mom hugged her tight. "We love you, honey. And we love Brianna, too. She was a good kid. What happened to her was tragic." "Mom, she did not unalive herself," she said quietly. Her parents exchanged a look. Everyone believed that she had. "Honey," her mom said gently, "sometimes people hide their pain, even from their closest friends. You don't always know what's really going on inside." But Rachel shook her head. "Not Brianna. She wouldn't. I know she wouldn't." Before her parents could argue, headlights flashed through the living room window. Tyler's Honda Civic pulled into the driveway. "That's them. I gotta go." She grabbed her jacket. "I'll text you guys when we get there and when we're heading home. I promise." She kissed both her parents quickly and headed out the door before they could change their minds about letting her go. Tyler's car idled in the driveway. Rachel could see Emma and Cody in the back seat, both looking nervous. Tyler gave her a small wave from the driver's seat. Rachel took a deep breath. The October wind was cold, carrying the smell of dead leaves and wood smoke from someone's fireplace. The moon was starting to rise, huge and orange on the horizon. A harvest moon. A Halloween moon. Perfect conditions for testing a ghost story. Perfect conditions for finding out the truth. Rachel opened the passenger door and climbed in. "Hey," Tyler said softly, reaching over to squeeze her hand. "You okay?" "No," Rachel said honestly, "but I will be. After tonight." "You sure you want to do this, Rach?" Emma asked from the back seat. She was a middle school friend, too. "We can still turn around." But Rachel shook her head. She pulled out her phone and looked at the paused image of Brianna one more time. "Y'all can go on if you want, but I'm going out there tonight. For Brianna." Tyler nodded and put the car in reverse. "I'm with you, babe." As they backed out the driveway, Rachel watched her house disappear behind them. Her parents stood in the doorway watching them go, worry clearly on their faces. Rachel turned forward, looking at the road ahead. Somewhere out there in the darkness, Crybaby Bridge waited. Elizabeth Crane waited. And Rachel was going to find out exactly what had happened on that bridge 3 weeks ago. Did you enjoy that chapter? Let me see some green hearts. Nice. Chapter 3. The Stories Before the Bridge. October the 31st, 2018, 8:47 p.m. Tyler pulled his Honda Civic into the gravel parking lot of Miller's Farm, a powerful fall festival spot on the outskirts of town. The place was packed with families enjoying Halloween night, kids running around in costumes, parents sipping hot drinks, teenagers laughing as they navigated the corn maze. Orange string lights crisscrossed overhead, casting a warm glow over everything. Hay bales were stacked artfully around the property. Carved jack-o'-lanterns lined the pathways, their flickering candles creating dancing shadows. The smell of apple cider, cinnamon donuts, and wood smoke filled the air. Above it all, the harvest moon hung huge and large in the darkening sky, so bright it competed with the festival lights. I figured we should eat something before we go, Tyler said, turning off the engine. Who knows how long we'll be out there at that bridge? Good idea, Cody said from the back seat. I'm starving. They climbed out the car and walked directly toward the festival entrance. Music played from speakers, a mix of classic rock and Halloween songs. And in the distance, they could hear screams of delight from people going through the haunted corn maze. It all felt so normal, so safe, so far from where they'd be in less than an hour. They got in line at the cider stand, a rustic wooden structure decorated with corn stalks and pumpkins. A cheerful woman in her 50s greeted them, steaming cups of hot apple cider in her each hand and paper plates with candied apples. You kids be safe tonight now, the woman said with a knowing smile. Full moon on Halloween. That's when the spirits are strongest usually. Rachel felt a chill despite the hot cider in her hands. They found an empty wooden bench near the edge of the festival grounds, away from the most of the crowds. From here they could see the corn maze to their left and the open field to their right, where children were playing games. The harvest moon dominated the sky above them, so large it looked like you could reach up and touch it if you wanted. Rachel sat between Tyler and Emma, with Cody on Emma's other side. They ate in silence for a moment, watching the festival activity around them, laughter, music, the crackle of a bonfire somewhere nearby. Everything felt too normal for what they were about to do. Rachel pulled out her phone and started scrolling through her notes. What are you looking at? Emma asked, biting into her candy apple. Just the other cases, Rachel said quietly. Other people who went to Crybaby Bridge and supposedly unalived themselves. The mood at the bench shifted immediately. Tyler set down his cider. Cody leaned in to look at Rachel's phone. How many are there? He asked. 7. Rachel said, scrolling through newspaper articles she'd saved. 7 deaths since 1958. All of them were teenagers. All of them were on Halloween night, except for Brianna. Wait, Emma said, putting down her candy apple. Tell me the story of Elizabeth Crane again. I mean, I know I've heard like bits and pieces of it, like the real story. I want to know exactly what happened to her before we go out there. Rachel took a sip of her hot cider, gathering her thoughts. The warmth of the drink helped to steady her nerves. It was October the 31st, 1958. Rachel began, her voice low. Elizabeth Crane was 19 years old. She lived with her parents in a small house on the east side of town. Her dad was a preacher. She'd gotten pregnant at 18. The father was a boy named James who left town the moment that he found out. Back then, being an unwedded mother was, well, it could destroy your life. That's horrible, Emma breathed. Rachel nodded. Yeah, and according to the records that I found, people in town were really cruel to her. Really cruel. They called her really bad names, said her baby was cursed, that it was a sin against God. The church refused to baptize him, Neighbors crossed the street when they saw her coming. I mean, like, really bad stuff. Some people even told her parents they should make her get rid of it. Jesus, Tyler muttered. So apparently Elizabeth became severely depressed. Rachel continued staring at the phone screen. Her mother said she could hear Elizabeth crying through the walls every night. And she barely ate, barely slept. She was drowning in shame and isolation. And her baby Thomas was only 3 months old. He'd cry constantly, and her dad wouldn't take care of him. And Elizabeth couldn't afford proper food or diapers for him. She felt like she was failing him. She felt like she failed everyone. The festival sound seemed distant now, muffled as Rachel told the story. So on Halloween night, 1958, Elizabeth told her parents she was going for a walk to clear her head. And she took Thomas with her. Her mom said later that Elizabeth had been calmer that evening. It was almost peaceful, like she made a decision. Rachel paused. Her throat was tight. She walked to the bridge around midnight, alone. She was holding her baby, and she stood at the edge. She looked down at the river below, and when they found her, she was just in the river. There's never been a lot of water there. It was pretty much dried up. Emma's eyes were filled with tears. She just threw him over the bridge? Why? I don't know. I mean, she must have been really going through it. The bench was silent. Even the festival noises seemed to fade away. So they just found both bodies the next morning? Well, they found Elizabeth, but they didn't find the baby. That's tragic. Did they ever find the baby? No, not according to anything here. God, that's the saddest thing I think I've ever heard, Emma whispered, wiping her eyes. Tyler cleared his throat. So, the legend, when did that start? Who was the first person, to die after Elizabeth? Rachel scrolled through her phone to another article. So, the first guy, his name was David Patterson, Rachel said. Halloween night, 1961, 3 years after Elizabeth's death. David was 17. He was a senior at the same high school that we go to, and according to friends who were with him that night, he'd been drinking excessively. They dared him to go to the bridge and call out for Elizabeth. His friends were there with him? Cody asked. Rachel nodded. Apparently, they stayed in the car while David went on to the bridge. They said he was laughing, joking about it. He yelled out, "Hey, crazy Elizabeth, where's your dead baby?" And then Rachel paused, reading from the article. His friend said that he suddenly went quiet, and he was staring at something that they couldn't see. And he kept backing away from the railing, saying, "No, no, please," over and over. And then he stood up on top and he just jumped, screaming the whole way down. Holy crap, Cody breathed. And you want us to go out there? The police ruled all of them accidental death, that they had taken their own lives, drunk teenagers falling off bridges. But his friends told anyone who would listen that something had been on that bridge with David, something that made him jump. Something said they heard a woman's voice, and they heard a baby crying. Emma grabbed Rachel's arm. I don't know if I want to go to this bridge, Em. I know, but there were 6 more times over the next 57 years, always on Halloween night, always teenagers, and according to witnesses and their own friends, They were all mocking the legend, making jokes about Elizabeth, laughing about her dead son. Rachel scrolled through more articles. Here's another one. In 1968, a kid named Michael Torres, his girlfriend said he yelled, "Where's your dead baby?" before he fell. In 1976, a girl named Sarah Mitchell, her friend said she was joking about stupid ghost stories and then suddenly started screaming and threw herself off the bridge. In 1982, there were these two twin brothers named James and Robert Chin. They went together, both making fun of the legend. They were found on the rocks the next morning. And then in 1995, three other kids, Jennifer Hayes, Marcus Green, and Ashley Parker, they brought beer and a boombox. They were shouting jokes about dead babies. They were found the next morning on the rocks. And then the final one I have here is in 2007. It was a girl named Christina Ward. She was doing a YouTube video about debunking ghost stories. She called it stupid superstition and laughed while saying Elizabeth's name. They found her the next morning. The bench was silent. The harvest moon seemed to grow brighter above them, as if listening. So they all mocked her, Tyler said slowly. They showed up to make fun of Elizabeth's pain, and they suffered for it. That's what I think, Rachel said. But I know that Brianna wouldn't do that. I think that, and what Brianna had gathered is that Elizabeth's spirit is so broken, so full of rage from 60 years of being disrespected that she can't tell the difference anymore. She just sees threats, people who want to hurt her, and she makes them pay. But Brianna wasn't mocking her. That's not why she went out there, Emma protested. Brianna went there to be respectful, to tell Elizabeth's real story. I know, Rachel said softly. That's what scares me the most. If Elizabeth couldn't tell that Brianna was trying to help, how would she know that we're not there to mock her too? They all looked at each other, the weight of that question settling over them. Around them, the festival continued. Children laughed, parents chatted, music played, the bonfire crackled, normal Halloween fun. But they all knew they were about to leave this safe, bright place and drive into the darkness, to a bridge where 8 people had died, to test a legend that had proven deadly again and again. We can still back out, Rich, Tyler said quietly. We can stay here, enjoy the festival, go home safe. Guys, I have to know what happened to my best friend. I have to try to understand, and I'm not asking anybody else to do it, just me. I'm the only one that's going to call out her name. I need to know if Elizabeth can tell the difference, if she can sense that we're not there to hurt her. I want to find out the truth for Brianna. And what if she can't? Cody asked. Rachel really didn't have an answer for that. They sat in silence for a moment, sipping their cider, watching the harvest moon climb higher in the sky. Finally, Emma spoke. I'm the only one doing this. Y'all be careful. We have to be genuinely respectful, no joking, no laughing. We treat Elizabeth's story with the dignity that it deserves. Agreed, Tyler said. Agreed, Cody echoed. Rachel nodded. I think if we leave here at 9:15, that gives us time to get to the bridge by 10:30. We scope it out, and at midnight, she took a deep breath. At midnight, I called for Elizabeth Crane. Not just you, Tyler said firmly. I'm going with you. I'm not going to let you stand on that bridge alone and call out to her. Rachel wanted to argue, but the look in Tyler's face stopped her. He was scared. They were all scared, but he wasn't going to let her face this alone. We'll see when we get there. Okay? They finished their cider and candied apples in silence, watching the festival around them, storing up the warmth and light and normalcy while they could, because in less than 30 minutes they'd be driving into the darkness to Cry Baby Bridge, to Elizabeth Crane, and none of them knew if they'd be coming back. If you enjoyed that, let me see some more hearts. The color doesn't matter. And let's take an intermission. And when I come back, I will continue reading Cry Baby Bridge. And if you've got that story, you still have time to share it. I'll be right back. I've got to get this new chair together that I bought. I haven't had a chance yet. I've had it sitting in a box forever and just haven't had a chance to put it together yet, but I will. It will happen. Hello, Iron Mike. Hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Oh no. Hello, Cracker Fogus. How are you? You know, I was just thinking about you the other day, Iron Mike. You were the one that chose Twisted Tales Live as the name. Hello, Cruella. Hello, Subs Bro. Nana Sherry. It's a nice chair. I wish I had one that had a lot more cushion, and I've actually got one. I just haven't had a chance to put it together yet. I'm dreading that. You're exhausted. Uh-oh. Ooh, Rebecca Wolf. I wish I had some of that right now. Yeah, so good to see you, Iron Mike. Exactly, don't push it. But you know how people are. Hello, Mystic, how are you doing? Hello, Kim. Iron Mike was there from the very beginning. It's so cool seeing him back. You named it. You chose the name. That is something that I have never forgotten about. The professor is great. If anyone is keeping a record of the time, just please let me know in the comments. Like Bryn, it's time. This pillow is too big. It's not going to work. Not going to work. Let me try this one. This one's a little bit smaller. It's just sitting down in a chair all day. That's what does it. But this chair that I've got now, it's gonna have rollers on the bottom. It's got arms. It's got it's black. It's got it's not actual leather. It's pleather. But hey, I don't care. I think it'll work. Yeah, it's too poofy. Hey, Eddie Santiago, how are you, darling? Let me try this. Let me try propping 2 pillows up. And so when I was creating my new space, I'm never able to just wait. Like my husband tells me, I have to get it done like right then, right there, or I'm not going to be happy. And so I went against his wishes and picked up a bag that was too heavy and pulled something in my lower back. Um, so I really need to get that chair going. Hey, Mandy. Hello. It's time. All right. Let's get back into the story. For the second part, I'm going to switch up the soundtrack. Thank you. Welcome back in to Twisted Tales Live. I am your host, Bryn Morgan. I'm a horror author, and I am also a teller of scary stories. Tonight is Paranormal Wednesday. Tonight we are in the great state of Kentucky. We are going down the list of all states alphabetically, and tonight is Cry Baby Bridge. I hope you're enjoying it. Chapter 4. Arriving at the bridge. October the 31st, 2018. 9:47 p.m. The festival lights faded in Tyler's rearview mirror as they drove south, deeper into the countryside. The roads became narrower, darker, more isolated with each passing mile. Rachel sat in the passenger seat, watching the landscape change through her window. Houses grew farther apart until they disappeared altogether. Streetlights became sparse, then vanished completely. The only light came from Tyler's headlights cutting through the darkness and the massive harvest moon hanging above them. In the back seat, Emma and Cody sat close together, neither speaking. The mood in the car was tense and heavy with anticipation and fear. Tyler had the radio on, a local talk show where callers were sharing their Halloween stories and ghost encounters. The host's voice was cheerful, treating it all like harmless fun. Our next caller is Dave from Louisville, the radio host said. Dave, you're on the air. What's your spooky story? Hey, yeah, so last Halloween, my buddies and I went to this abandoned house on Dixie Highway. Dave's voice crackled through the speakers, and we totally saw. How much further is it? Emma asked from the back seat, interrupting the story. Rachel checked her phone's GPS. About 20 more minutes. They drove in silence after that, listening to the radio. More callers, more stories, each one more ridiculous than the last. Haunted basements, ghostly figures in windows, bumps in the night. It all sounded so silly, so harmless. But Rachel knew what they were driving toward wasn't silly at all. At 10:18 p.m., Rachel's GPS announced, in half a mile, turn right onto Van Meter Road. Everyone in the car tensed. Tyler's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Emma grabbed Cody's hand. Rachel felt her heart rate pick up. This was it. They were almost there. Tyler made the turn onto Van Meter Road, and immediately, everything felt different. The paved road gave way to old, cracked asphalt. Trees pressed in close on both sides, their branches forming a tunnel overhead that blocked out most of the moonlight. Jesus, it's dark out here. Why in the heck do they have a bridge out here in the middle of nowhere? That's a very good question, Emma said. The radio kept playing, but the signal was getting weaker. The host's voice faded in and out, replaced occasionally by static. They drove for another 10 minutes, deeper into the darkness. No houses, no lights, no signs of civilization. Just trees and shadows and that oppressive blackness that seemed to swallow Tyler's headlights. Rachel noticed abandoned cars on the roadside, just like Brianna must have seen. Rusted, overgrown with vegetation, doors open like mouths frozen in silent screams. Why are there so many abandoned cars? Emma asked nervously. People dump their junk out here usually, Tyler said. His voice was uncertain, though. At 10:33 p.m., the bridge appeared in the headlights. There it is, Rachel whispered. They all stared. Cry Baby Bridge. After everything that Rachel had researched, after all the terrifying stories after Brianna's death, she'd expected the bridge to be imposing, massive, obviously haunted, but it wasn't. It was small, almost underwhelming. Just an old steel and concrete bridge, maybe 50 feet long, spanning a dried up creek bed. The kind of bridge you drive over 100 times without thinking twice about it. Graffiti covered the rusted railings. The concrete was stained and cracked. It looked ordinary, just like any other old bridge in America. Sad. Forgotten, really. That's it? Cody said from the back seat. That's Crybaby Bridge? Yeah, Rachel said quietly. That's it. Tyler slowed the car as they approached. You want me to park further back, like off the side of the road? No, no, park on the bridge, right in the middle. That's where Brianna parked. Are you sure? Emma asked nervously. That's where Brianna was, Rachel said. That's where it all happened. If we're doing this, we're doing it right. Tyler nodded and drove slowly onto the bridge. The tires made a different sound on the old concrete, a hollow echo that seemed too loud in the quiet night. He stopped the car in the center of the bridge and put it in park, leaving the engine running. The headlights illuminated the far end of the bridge and the dark trees and road beyond. For a moment, they all just sat there, staring out at the darkness. The radio was still on, the talk show host still chattering about Halloween. And that is why you should never go to a cemetery at midnight, folks. Our next caller is... But then the signal started to sputter. The host's voice broke up, replaced by bursts of static. Next caller is... Crackle. From Jefferson... Static. Wants to tell us about... Crackle. The static grew louder, drowning out the words completely. Tyler reached for the volume knob, but before he could touch it, the static intensified, pulsing like a heartbeat through the speakers. Rachel, Emma, Cody, and Tyler all went quiet, staring at the radio. And beneath the static, they heard something else. Something that made Rachel's blood run cold. A baby. Crying. Faint. Distant. But unmistakable. What the hell? Tyler breathed. Rachel realized she'd forgotten to tell them something important. Oh my God, she said. I can't believe that I didn't mention this. Mention what? Emma's voice was tight with fear. When people come to this bridge, even if they don't call out to Elizabeth, weird things happen with technology. Rachel said quickly. Cars malfunction, engines cut off, radio speakers and phones fail, GPS goes haywire, and sometimes... She paused, listening to the crying through the static. It was the crying of a baby. Sometimes people hear a baby crying through the radio static. You're just now telling us this? Cody said, his voice rising. Hey, watch your tone with my girlfriend. I'm sorry, Cody. I was just so focused on the legend itself that the radio cut out completely. Total silence. Then it creaked back to life, but the talk show was gone. Just static. And beneath the static, the baby's crying was louder now, more insistent, more desperate. Emma fumbled for her phone. You know what? I'm calling my mom. We're leaving right now. But when she looked at her screen, the face went pale. Shit, I don't have any signal. What? Cody pulled out his phone. I don't either. No bars at all. Tyler checked his phone. Same thing. No signal. Rachel looked at her phone. The screen showed 1 bar, then none. Flickering back and forth, but no actual service. She couldn't make a call. Couldn't send a text. They were completely cut off. This is normal, Rachel said, trying to keep her voice steady even though her heart was racing. The bridge is a dead zone. That's why Brianna's video didn't update until after it happened. The radio static grew louder, the baby's crying cutting through it in waves. It sounded closer now, not coming from the speakers, but from outside the car. They rolled down their window and listened. It seemed as if it was coming from under the bridge. "Tyler, start the car," Emma said, her panic creeping into her voice. "Start the car and let's go. Rach, you can be mad at me, but I'm not staying out here on this bridge." "The car is running," Tyler said, but his hand went to the key anyway as if to reassure himself. The engine was still on. They could feel the gentle vibration. They could hear it idle. But something felt wrong. The air in the car had gone ice cold. Their breath came out in white clouds now, even though the heater was on full blast. Rachel looked out the windshield at the bridge ahead of them. The headlights showed the far end, the guardrails, the graffiti, the darkness beyond. But in the shadows beneath the bridge, something seemed to move. Just a flicker of motion, there and gone. "Guys, did you just see what I saw?" Cody whispered. They all stared at the darkness beneath the bridge. Nothing, just shadows. But Rachel couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. That something was down there in that dried creek bed. Something that had been waiting for them. The radio suddenly blared to life. Not static this time, but a voice. A woman's voice. Singing. "Hush, little baby, don't say a word." Emma screamed. The voice was wrong, distorted, like it was underwater, like it was coming from someone who'd been dead for 60 years. "Mama's gonna buy you a mockingbird." Tyler lunged for the radio and jabbed the power button. The singing cut off abruptly, but in the sudden silence they could still hear it, faint, coming from outside the car now. "And if that mockingbird don't sing." Rachel's hand was shaking. This was real. This was actually happening. They'd barely been on the bridge for 5 minutes, and already the legend was proving itself to be true. "We need to leave," Emma said, tears in her voice. "Please, Tyler, just drive, just drive." Tyler's hand was on the gear shift, ready to put the car in drive and floor it. But Rachel grabbed his arm. "Wait! Are you insane?" Cody shouted. "Did you not hear that? There's something out there singing about a dang baby." "I know," Rachel said, her voice shaking but determined. "That's why we came here, to find out if the legend is true. And now we know it is, but I haven't even called to her yet. I haven't tested the legend properly." "Screw the legend," Emmy cried. "Let's go." But Rachel shook her head. "I came here for Brianna. I came here to understand what happened to her. If we leave now, we'll never know. We'll always wonder. I'm telling you, Brianna did not take her own life." Tyler looked at Rachel, his face pale in the moonlight. "Babe, I know you really want to do this, but did you just hear that?" "Yeah, I heard it. Especially after this, especially after I just heard this. Because now I know that Brianna wasn't crazy. She wasn't making it up. Something is here. Something unalived her, and we need to know what. And I'm going to face it. You can all leave now. You can leave now. I will get out the car now." The singing had stopped. The radio was silent. Even the baby's crying had faded. But the cold remained. The feeling of being watched remained. And Rachel knew with absolute certainty that they were not alone on the bridge. Something was out there in the darkness, waiting, watching, ready. So what do we do now, Rach? Tyler asked quietly. Rachel looked at each of her friends. Emma had tears streaming down her face. Cody was pale and terrified, and Tyler was scared, but trying to be brave. And she thought of Brianna, standing on the bridge 3 weeks ago, alone and scared and facing something she didn't understand. I get out, Rachel said. I go to the edge of the bridge, and I call for Elizabeth. That's the way it's supposed to be done. And then what? Emma whispered. What are you going to do then, when she comes up the bank? Rachel didn't have an answer, because she didn't know what Elizabeth Crane would do. She didn't know if the ghost would recognize their respect, or only see 4 more teenagers to punish. Didn't know if they'd walk away from this bridge, to be honest, or if they'd become deaths number 9, 10, 11, and 12. The harvest moon hung above them, huge and orange and watching. The bridge waited beneath them, silent and patient. Chapter 5, Calling Out to the Dead. Let me see some hearts if you like that chapter. Thank you all for being here for Paranormal Wednesday. Thank you so, so much. Appreciate it. Chapter 5, Calling Out to the Dead. October the 31st, 2018, 10:41 p.m. Rachel's hand was on the door handle. I'm doing this, she said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. I'm getting out of the car. And if I don't see y'all again, thank you for coming with me. I don't want any more of you to get out of this car. I want this to just be me. Promise me. I promise. Emma was the first and the quickest. Yeah, Cody said next. Tyler was gripping the steering wheel tightly. Rachel, I'm doing this. I'm getting out now. Come on, Emma, Cody said from the back seat, his voice shaking. Maybe we should go out there with her. I mean, we are friends. We've been friends since middle school. No, Emma said immediately, shaking her head. No way. I'm not getting out of this car. Yeah, me neither, Cody admitted, sinking back into the seat. Tyler sat in the driver's seat, hands gripping the steering wheel, staring straight ahead at the darkness beyond the headlights. His jaw was clenched. Rachel could see him wrestling with something, fear battling with pride, with the need to be brave, to be the guy who didn't back down. Then he slammed his palms against the steering wheel, making everybody jump. All right, damn it, he shouted, more to himself than to anyone else. All right, let's do this. Come on, let's do this. He was the captain of the football team. He looked at Rachel. We're going out there. I'm going with you, together, right now, before I leave my nerve. Get out the car. Rachel nodded, grateful. The idea of Tyler being with her gave her confidence. Together, they opened the doors simultaneously. The cold hit them like a physical wall. It was freezing, much cooler than it had been at the festival. Rachel's breath came out in thick white clouds. The October night had been chilly, maybe the low 50s when they were at the festival. But this was different. This felt like winter. Like the temperature had dropped 30 degrees in the span of just a few minutes. Jesus, it's freezing out here, Rachel said, wrapping her arms around herself. Tyler's breath misted in the air. We're down in the holler, babe, he said, trying to sound rational. Cold air sinks. That's probably why it feels so much colder from the mountains. But even as he said it, Rachel could see he didn't quite believe that. This wasn't normal cold. This was something else. The headlights illuminated the far end of the bridge, casting long shadows that seemed to move and shift. The harvest moon hung huge above them, so bright that Rachel could see every detail of the bridge, the rusted railings, the graffiti, the cracks in the concrete. From inside the car, they could hear Emma and Cody's muffled voices arguing about whether they should get out. But Rachel's attention was on the bridge, on the darkness beyond the headlights, on the dried creek bed below. She walked forward, her footsteps echoing on the concrete. Tyler followed close behind, looking behind him, to the left, to the right, and far ahead. His football player's frame dense and ready, tense, strung like a violin, as if he could tackle a ghost if he had to. Rachel reached the railing and gripped the cold metal, just as she had seen Brianna do 3 weeks ago. It was too cold, ice cold, the kind of cold that burned your palms. She leaned forward and looked down. The creek bed was maybe 40 feet below. In the moonlight and the glow from the car's headlights, she could see rocks and dead brush, twisted tree limbs and debris that had accumulated over decades. She could see water, not a lot, but enough. The creek must have been active once, very active, but now it's just this dry, dead channel. But as Rachel stared down, the shadows seemed too deep, too dark, like they were absorbing light rather than reflecting it. And she could have sworn she saw movement down there. Something shifting. Something watching. Rach, Tyler said softly, reaching out to grab her hand. He gently pulled her back from the edge. You're really going to do this? Rachel looked up at him. Tyler's face was pale in the moonlight, his eyes wide. He was scared, really scared, but he was there. He'd gotten out of the car. He was standing with her. Yes, Rachel said. There was a tremor to her voice. I really am. For Brianna, you can go back to the car. No, I'm here. He nodded slowly. Okay, all right. Well, I'm right here with you. Whatever happens. Rachel squeezed his hand. Why don't we do it together? We count to 3, and we say it together. Okay, Yeah, yeah, together. They turned to face the creek bed, standing side by side at the railing, hands clasped. The wind had died completely. The air was still, wailing. They heard wailing. From the car behind them, Rachel could hear Emma and Cody's voices, but they seemed distant now, muffled, like they were much farther away than just 40 feet. On three? Rachel asked. On three, Tyler agreed. One. Rachel's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Two, they said in unison. Tyler's hand tightened on hers, his thumb brushing the inside of her palm. Three. Together they called out into the darkness. Where is my baby? Their voices echoed off the trees, booming back at them from all directions. Where is my baby? Where is my baby? Where is my baby? And then instantly everything stopped. The wind died completely. The trees went still, and an owl that had been howling in the distance fell silent. Even the crickets and night birds stopped their song. Complete, total silence. Rachel and Tyler stood frozen, barely breathing, listening. The only sound was the faint trickle of water somewhere down below. A tiny stream running over rocks in the dried creek bed. Just a whisper of what the river used to be. Nothing else. No movement, no voices, no ghost, just silence. Rachel's grip on Tyler's hand relaxed slightly. Nothing was happening. Maybe they needed to do it again. The legend said 3 times. She looked at Tyler and nodded. Together they called out again. Where is my baby? Again, the words echoed. Again, the silence that followed was absolute. Rachel waited, her eyes scanning the darkness below the bridge, searching for any sign of movement. Any sign of Elizabeth Crane rising from her watery grave, from the creek bed that she had in Brianna's video. But there was nothing. Just the dark, just the cold, just the sound of that tiny stream trickling over rocks. One more time, Rachel whispered. The legend says 3 times. Tyler nodded, though she could see the relief in his eyes. Maybe nothing would happen. Maybe the legend was just a story after all. But Rachel knew better. She'd seen Brianna's videos. She'd read about the 7 deaths. She'd heard the radio static, the baby crying, the woman singing. Something was here. Something was real. They just had to finish the ritual. Inside the car, Emma and Cody sat in tense silence, watching Rachel and Tyler through the windshield. They could see their friends standing near the railing, calling out into the darkness. I feel like such a chicken, Cody, Emma said, her voice small. That's my best friend out there. They're out there and we're in here. Cody swallowed hard. We could get out now if you want. We can join them. Emma looked at it with tears in her eyes. I'm scared. I feel something. Something's out here. Yeah, Cody admitted, but Rachel's her friend, and there was something out there gets them, I don't know that I'd ever forgive myself. We should be with them. We should all be in this together. Emma nodded slowly. Hold my hand. You got it, babe, Cody said, grabbing her hand and squeezing. They reached for the door handles. On three, Emma asked. On three, Cody agreed. 1, Emma took a deep breath. 2, Cody's hand tightened on the door handle. 3, Emma froze. Wait, she whispered. She shook his shoulder. Cody, wait! Look! Look down toward the bridge! What? Cody followed the gaze through the windshield past Rachel and Tyler to the far edge of the bridge where it met the embankment and the trees and the dark road ahead, and he saw it. A figure in white. Down at the edge of the bridge where the concrete met the hillside, where the dried creek bed gave way to the embankment, something was there. Someone rising up. Oh my God, Emma breathed. The figure was floating, not walking, not climbing, floating up the hillside toward the bridge, slowly, deliberately. A woman in a white nightgown, soaking wet, water streaming from her clothes even though she was moving upward. Her long dark hair hung in crippling strings around her face. Her skin glowed pale in the moonlight. She wasn't touching the ground. Her feet dangled inches above the earth as she rose, as if pulled by invisible wires, ascending the embankment like smoke rising from fire. Emma screamed. She opened the door. Look! She shrieked, pointing. Tyler! Rachel, look! Look, 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 look behind you! Cody joined in, pounding on the windshield. Behind you! Behind you! On the bridge, Tyler and Rachel spun around, following Emma and Cody's pointing fingers, and they saw her. Elizabeth Crane. She had reached the edge of the bridge now, her body still suspended in the air, rising from the embankment like a ghost emerging from her grave, water pouring from her nightgown, from her hair, from her open mouth, defying gravity, falling upward into the night sky. Her face came into view, pale, beautiful, young, frozen, and 19 years old. But her eyes were wrong, completely black, empty voids that reflected nothing. And she was smiling as she floated toward them. That terrible, too wide smile that showed too many teeth. Tyler stumbled backward, pulling Rachel with him. Holy crap! Holy crap! Rachel, run! Emmy and Cody remained frozen in the car, hands still on the door handles, unable to move, unable to breathe, watching in absolute horror as the woman in white continued to rise. Elizabeth floated higher, her body horizontal to the ground now, hovering above the bridge like she was lying on an invisible bed. Water continued to stream from her, pooling on the concrete below, even though she was 20 feet in the air. She turned her head too far, her neck bending at an unnatural angle, and looked directly at all four of them. At Tyler and Rachel on the bridge, at Emmy and Cody in the car. Her black eyes moved from face to face, studying them, judging them. You called for me, Elizabeth said, her voice like drowning, like water rushing over rocks, like death itself. The words seemed to come from everywhere at once, from her mouth, from the darkness below the bridge, from the air itself. After all these years, she continued, floating closer to Tyler and Rachel, you called for me. Tyler backed up until he hit the car's hood, pulling Rachel with him. Emma and Cody pressed themselves against their seats as if they could disappear into the upholstery. Elizabeth tilted her head again, bones in her neck cracking audibly. "Let's see," she whispered, and her smile grew impossibly wider. "If you're worthy of mercy." The temperature dropped another 20 degrees. Ice formed on the bridge's railings, spreading like cracks in glass. The headlights flickered, and from the creek bed below they heard it. A baby crying. Not faint, not distant, close, rising, coming for them. Elizabeth Crane floated there above the bridge, suspended in the moonlight. Her black eyes never blinking, her smile never fading, water endlessly streaming from her dead body. The 4 teenagers were trapped. No running, no escaping. They'd called her name, and Elizabeth Crane had answered. Chapter 6, Trapped on the Bridge. October the 31st, 2018, 10:45 p.m. Tyler's hand locked around Rachel's wrist, yanking her back toward the car. "Go! Go!" Their footsteps slammed against the bridge, rubber on concrete, breath tearing through the cold. Behind them came the sound that didn't belong in any living throat. A woman's moan that rose and broke the wind through water. "Where is my baby?" Rachel's lungs burned. The sound followed them. Closer, closer, the high, thin cry of an infant carried on the air, echoing beneath the bridge, above it, inside the metal itself. "Tyler, she's coming! Don't look back!" They hit the car at a dead run. Tyler wrenched open the driver's door. Rachel dove for the passenger side. Emma screamed from the back seat. Cody reached forward, yanking them both inside. The doors slammed in unison. 4 sharp metallic thuds that felt like closing a coffin. For one terrible heartbeat, there was silence. Then Emma broke. "What was that? What was that? What was that?" "Shut up!" Tyler snapped, voice shaking, hands gripping the wheel hard enough to whiten his knuckles. "Everyone just shut up! We just have to think!" No one argued. Their breathing filled the car, ragged and loud. Frost bloomed across the inside of the windshield. Spider veins racing upward, the heat whined, then stuttered. Rachel's hands fumbled for her phone. "Please, please, please, please. Not even a signal, not even a bar." She looked at Tyler. "Do you have anything?" He checked his own screen. Nothing. Cody tried. His was dead. "God," Emma sobbed. "We're stuck. We're stuck out here. We got no way to get out of here." "Calm down," Tyler said, though his voice cracked halfway through. "There's got to be a way. Someone will drive by." "Tyler," Rachel whispered, "no one drives Van Meter after midnight. Not across Crybaby Bridge. Not on Halloween." All 4 froze. It came again. Closer this time, rising from the floorboards, from the metal frame itself, as if the sound was traveling through the car. "Tyler," Cody's voice was barely audible. "Start the car, please. Let's try to get out of here." Tyler twisted the key. The engine coughed. Coughed for a second. The headlights blazed white against the night. Relief washed through the car, then the lights flickered once. Twice. And died. The engine choked into silence. The dash went black. Every bit of electrical life bled away, leaving them in total darkness. Emma screamed again. Rachel clapped a hand over her mouth. "Shh. Shh. Outside, the bridge groaned. Metal shifted somewhere in the structure. A long, slow creak like the breath of something ancient. The moaning started up again. Elizabeth Crane's voice, soft and hollow, circling the car. Where is my baby? The sound slid from one side of the car to the other. Then beneath them, the baby's wail followed, muffled and wet like it was crying from under the trees. Rachel's trembling fingers found Tyler's arm. She's under us, she whispered. She's right under the car. Tyler swallowed. Nobody move. Just be very still. Make sure the doors are locked. Condensation formed on the inside of the window. First their breath, then something else. Streaks like fingers dragging from the outside in long, slow arcs. 1, 2, 3. Each ending in a pale handprint too small to be human. Emma whimpered. Cody pressed both palms over his ears, rocking slightly. This isn't real. This isn't real. This isn't real. Tyler kept staring through the windshield into nothing. The orange moon hung directly above the bridge, a swollen eye, watching them. Its reflection turning the ice on the hood a dull red gold, as though the car were bleeding light. Okay, he whispered. We wait until dawn. Someone will come by. Rachel shook her head. You don't understand. It's her night. Nobody comes, Tyler. A thud hit the roof and light, then heavier, another, like footsteps crossing the top of the car. Emma screamed again, muffled this time. Rachel gripped her hand. Don't move. Do not look through the sunlight. Do not look through it. Do not look through the sunroof. The footsteps stopped just above Rachel's seat. The metal groaned, denting slightly inward. Then came the whisper, right against the glass, inches from Rachel's face. Where is my baby? The voice seeped through the metal. The temperature dropped so fast their breath fogged with the solid mist. Rachel's heartbeat was a hammer. We don't mock you, she whispered. We're sorry. We believe in you. The silence after was worse than the voice. And then softly another sound. The faint click of the driver's side door unlocking by itself. Tyler's head jerked toward it. He grabbed it. No! The handle twitched once. Outside, something began to hum. The bridge vibrating beneath them as though alive, carrying the cry of an unseen child. Through every rusted beam, they sat frozen. 4 silhouettes under a dying moon. The car dead. The bridge whispering. The ghost of Elizabeth Crane circling closer with every heartbeat. No one spoke, because there was nothing left to say. Only the question that hung in every breathless second that followed. What do we do now? Chapter 7, The Video. October the 31st, 2018, 11:24 p.m. The wind hit first. One enormous whoosh that rattled the steel girders and rocked the car like a toy. Rachel screamed. Emma shrieked. Cody's phone hit the floor. The Civic lurched forward another few feet, tires screeching against the concrete, nose hanging inches from open air. "Tyler!" Rachel cried. "I've got it! Hold on!" He slammed both feet on the brake, but the pedals sank uselessly. The bridge itself seemed to be breathing, pulling them closer to the railing, inch by inch. Then just as suddenly, everything stopped. The car stilled. The wind died. The silence returned. So complete it rang in their ears. Outside, something circled the Civic in a pale white mist. They heard it clearly now. The wet slap of bare feet on concrete. Step, step, step. "Stay calm," Tyler whispered, every word trembling. "We just have to stay calm. Don't move. Don't make a sound. Don't make a sound." Rachel pressed both hands to her mouth. Emma sobbed into her sleeve. Cody sat rigid, eyes squeezed shut, lips moving in a silent prayer. For a long moment, nothing happened. Only the sound of their own heartbeats filled the car. And then, Rachel's phone lit up. A thin glow spilled from the console, blue and cold. The others stared at the screen as it brightened, the camera app opening by itself. "What's it doing?" Emma whispered. I don't know," Rachel said, reaching for it with shaking hands. The phone vibrated once, hard, and then the screen shifted to video playback. And there she was, Brianna Cole. Her face filled the screen, pale and frightened, her hair whipping in the wind. The bridge behind her looked the same as it did now. The same railings, the same shadows, the same swollen orange moon. "Oh, God," Rachel whispered. "What? What is it?" "That's the night Brianna died." The video was perfect. Clear, steady, no distortion, not the damage cut version the police had shown. This was the full recording, the one no one had ever seen. "Where's my baby?" Brianna's voice came from the speaker, soft at first. The sound made the air in the car drop 10 degrees. Frost laid at the inside of the windows. On the screen, Brianna turned toward the railing. The wind lifted her hair. "Where is my baby?" She screamed again, louder this time. The world around her fell silent. And then out of the blackness beneath the bridge, a shape began to rise. A woman, dripping, floating upward through the air as though the riverbank still held her. Her white nightgown clung to her skin. Her head hung low, hair streaming water that felt the wrong direction upward into the moonlight. "Oh my God," Emma whispered. "That's her. That's Elizabeth Crane. Brianna did call her." The ghost reached the edge of the bridge, her face coming into view behind Brianna's camera, pale, expressionless, eyes like dark water. Brianna stumbled back, terrified, the phone shaking violently in her hand. You could hear the ghost's voice. "You called for me?" The ghost's voice hissed through the speaker. Brianna's voice broke. "I just wanted to understand. I just wanted to know what happened to you." "Liar," Elizabeth said. On the screen, Brianna turned to run, but froze mid-step. Her body rigid, eyes wide and unblinking. The phone trembled as if something else had taken control of her arm. "Please," Brianna cried, voice strangled with terror. "I don't want to die." Elizabeth's pale hand reached out a frame, and then Brianna's body began to move, not by choice, not willingly, but pulled as though invisible strings dragged her toward the edge. Her sobbing filled the car. It was unbearable for them to listen to. The camera jolted. The image blurred. Her voice rose in a final broken scream, and then there was the sound of impact. The phone on the video tumbled sideways, landing on the bridge, still recording. The image showed Elizabeth Crane's bare feet floating beside it, water dripping around them, running toward the lens. None of them breathed. Emma's shaking hands covered her mouth. Cody muttered, She didn't unalive herself. Oh my God, she didn't unalive herself." Rachel stared at the screen as tears rolled silently down her cheeks. "I told you she didn't jump," she whispered. "Elizabeth made her do it." The car was dead silent. Outside, the baby began to cry again. The 4 teenagers sat in the dark, the phone still glowing faintly between them, and understood at last. Brianna had not taken her own life. Elizabeth Crane had taken it for her, and now she'd come for them. Chapter 8. The first one falls. October the 31st, 2018, 11:52 p.m. The phone's glow faded out, leaving only the pulse of the harvest moon shining through the frost-stained glass. The silence that followed was heavy, thick enough to feel. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Then softly, the baby began to cry again. A long, drawn-out wail that rose from somewhere deep beneath the bridge, climbing up through the steel and concrete until it sounded like it was inside the car with them. Emma broke first. She pressed her hands over her ears and started to sob. "Please make it stop! Please make it stop, please!" Cody wrapped his arms around her. "It's okay. I've got you. I've got you." His voice shook with every word. "We're getting out of here. As soon as the light comes back, I'm driving. I don't care what Tyler says." "Just stay still," Tyler hissed. "We move, we draw attention." Rachel clucked the dark phone in her lap, staring at the black screen that had shown Brianna's last seconds. Her mind replayed the footage over and over. The hand, the scream, the fall. A sound broke through the quiet. Click. The soft metallic pop of a lock shifting. "Did you hear that?" Rachel whispered. "What was it?" Emma's voice came out small. Nobody answered. A door had been unlocked in the car. The back seat door latch trembled once. A slow, deliberate motion, as if tested from the outside. Cody frowned, twisting to look. "You sure it's locked? You sure it's locked? Mine's locked. You sure it's locked?" He reached for the handle, just as it lifted by itself. The door swung wide with a violent snap of cold air. "Cody!" Emma screamed. Something unseen yanked him backwards out of the car. 1 second he was there, the next he was gone, dragged into the night. His shoes scraped the concrete once, a flash of motion in the moonlight, then nothing. Emma lunged toward the open doorway, but Tyler reached back, grabbing her arm. Don't go out there! Cody! She screamed, fighting him, clawing at the air. Cody, please! The headlights flared back to life. All four froze. The beams cut across the bridge, blinding him white, illuminating Cody standing at the far edge of the span, like he was on a movie screen in a theater. He wasn't struggling. He wasn't running. He was just standing there. The wind tore at his shirt. His hair whipped across his face. His posture was wrong, too still, too deliberate. He turned slightly toward the car, his eyes distant and unfocused, like he was listening to someone none of them could hear. Cody! Tyler yelled, pounding the horn, the sound blaring across the hollow riverbed. Get away from the edge! The horn echoed back, distorted, as though the bridge itself mocked it. Emma pressed both hands to the window. Cody, no! Please come back! He didn't move. He lifted one leg and climbed up on the bridge railing, and then the other leg. He looked down and then up, lips moving as though answering to an invisible voice. Who's he talking to? Emma whispered. Tyler slammed the gear shift into reverse, but the car didn't respond. The engine stayed dead. The headlights flickered, dimmed, then brightened again, locking their gaze on Cody like a spotlight. Open the window! Let me talk to him! Tyler hit the switch. Nothing. The glass wouldn't budge. Rachel tried hers. It was dead. Come on! Come on! Come on! Outside, Cody slowly raised his arms. No, Rachel whispered. No, please, God, no. He stood on the outer rail now, toes over the edge, body silhouetted against the orange moon, his arms spread wide like wings, his head tilting toward the sky as though offering himself to something that he couldn't see. Cody! Emma pounded on the window until her fists left bloody smears. Don't do this to him, Elizabeth, please! The wind picked up. The baby's cry grew louder, overlapping with a woman's voice, a single broken sob that echoed from beneath the bridge. And then Cody stepped forward. No struggle, no hesitation, just a quiet surrender. He vanished over the side. Emma's scream filled the car, a raw, endless sound. Rachel clutched her ears. Tyler slammed his fist against the steering wheel. The horn blared again, long and frantic. Outside, the headlights flickered once more, then cut out entirely. Darkness swallowed everything. Emma sobbed uncontrollably, rocking in her seat. Tyler's voice was gone. Rachel could only stare in the void where Cody had been. The bridge creaked beneath them. The baby kept crying. And somewhere below, something answered. Chapter 9, The Second Fall. October the 31st, 2018, 11:58 p.m. For a long time after Cody went over, no one spoke. No one even breathed. The car was completely dark. The only light came from the enormous orange moon hanging above the bridge. Its glow turning the frost on the windshield into veins of blood-red glass. Emma sat in the back seat, motionless. Her hands were frozen in her lap, her eyes staring at nothing. She wasn't crying anymore. She wasn't moving at all. Rachel turned around. Emma, honey, listen to me. Emma, look at me, please. Nothing. Emma's gaze was fixed on the empty spot where Cody had been. Her mouth slightly open, her lips trembling, but no sound coming out. She's in shock, Rach. Tyler said quietly. His voice was hollow, stripped of all control. She's not processing it. Outside, the bridge creaked again. Something moved at the far end. Rachel turned her head and froze. A figure was gliding across the concrete, pale and thin. Her nightgown trailing in tatters. She didn't walk. She floated. Tyler, she's coming back, Rachel whispered, pointing through the windshield. At the far end of the bridge, under the glow of the moon, stood Elizabeth Crane. Her eyes were two black pits. Her hair hung dripping down her shoulders. The front of her gown was soaked, clinging to her chest as if the river still held her. Water streamed endlessly from her body, spreading across the bridge in a slow, thin sheet that glimmered like oil. She wasn't looking at Emma. Not yet. She was staring at them. Tyler's breath caught. Oh my God. What do we do? Rachel whispered. Tyler, what do we do? He shook his head, eyes locked on the ghost. I don't know. I don't think there's anything we can do, Rach. The air grew colder. The sound of the crying baby began again, echoing from every direction at once. Under them, above them, inside the car. Emma blinked slowly. Her lips moved for the first time in minutes. Cody, she whispered. He's calling me. Emma, no, Rachel said sharply. That's not Cody. That's not him. That's her. Don't listen. But Emma didn't react. Her head turned toward the sound, toward the end of the bridge where Elizabeth Crane waited. And then the back door clicked. Emma! Tyler shouted, twisting around. Too late. The door swung open. Emma stepped out, barefoot now, her shoes left on the floor mat. Her movements were slow and dreamlike, like she was sleepwalking. Emma, stop, please! Rachel screamed, fumbling for the handle on her side, but the locks wouldn't move. Tyler's door refused to open too. He slammed his shoulder into it, shouting her name. Emma, get back in the car! She didn't turn around. She walked across the small expanse of the bridge, her white sweater glowing in the moonlight, her hair whipping in the wind. Her steps were steady and deliberate. At the far end, Elizabeth Crane drifted forward, hovering above the concrete, her black eyes shifting between Emma and the car. Tyler, Rachel whispered. She's controlling her, just like she did Cody and Brianna. Then Rachel's phone buzzed again. The screen flashed to life on its own, blinding them with sudden light. Oh no, Rachel whispered, picking it up with shaking hands. The same video. Brianna again, but now the footage was different. Brianna was crying, tears streaking her face as she clutched the phone, whispering frantically to the camera. Rachel, the legend is true. Her voice cracked. Elizabeth Crane, she's real. She's angry. She doesn't forgive anyone. The wind in the video howled louder, drawing out Brianna's sobs. Tell my family that I love them, she cried. Tell them I'm sorry. I just wanted to prove that the legend was true. I never wanted this to happen. Please. Please. The screen flickered, the image glitching into darkness and then silence. The phone went black again. Rachel lowered it slowly, tears spilling down her face. She's not gonna let us go, is she, Tyler? No. No, I don't think she is. She didn't unalive herself, she whispered. Brianna didn't unalive herself. Outside the car, the air shifted. Emma was standing on the railing now, her arms spread wide, her eyes stared into the distance toward the figure at the far end of the bridge. Emma, no. And then Rachel screamed, Emma, no! The ghost looked back at them. Elizabeth Crane, her face half lit by moonlight, half swallowed by shadow. Her mouth opened slowly. She never spoke. She didn't need to. The wind answered for her. A single gust swept across the bridge, lifting Emma's hair and pushing her forward. Her body arched once, arms still open, and then she was gone. Over the side, her scream never came. Tyler hit the horn again, the sound echoing off the trees, bouncing back at them distorted and hollow. Rachel sobbed, clutching her chest. The baby's cry faded beneath the bridge. Elizabeth Crane stood at the far end, silent and still. Two gone, two left. And the moon above Van Meter Road watched it all, huge and orange and pitiless. This is Amanda Lewis reporting for WLKY News, live from Van Meter Road in Jefferson County. Behind me is the now infamous Crybaby Bridge, the scene of a tragedy that's left this rural community in shock this morning. Just after 6 a.m., deputies discovered the bodies of 4 local high school students. 18-year-old Tyler Brooks, 17-year-old Rachel Miller, and Emma Sanders, and 18-year-old Kobe Wells have all been identified. All 4 were found at the base of the bridge on the rocks below me. Authorities say the victim's vehicle was located on the bridge itself, engine off, headlights burned out, and all 4 doors standing open. I have Deputy Harris with me right here, and Deputy Harris, you were one of the first on this scene. What can you tell us? Well, ma'am, it appears these young folks came out here sometime late last night, Halloween night. From what we can tell, they parked right in the middle of the bridge. There's no sign of foul play, no skid marks, no struggle. Best we can piece together right now, it looks like it was a coordinated act. We found personal notes in 2 of their pockets, brief handwritten goodbyes. It's heartbreaking. Who did you find the notes with? Tyler and Rachel. So at this time, you believe that this was an unaliving pact? Yes, ma'am. That's the working theory. A tragic decision made by 4 close friends. Our department's bringing in grief counselors for the high school. Officials say toxicology reports and phone data will take several weeks. But for now, the sheriff's office confirms it has no evidence of another party involved. Residents along Van Meter Road are calling the event unimaginable, and court officials are already discussing permanently closing the bridge to the public. For WLKY News, I'm Amanda Lewis, reporting from Jefferson County, Kentucky. Four names carved into morning stone. Four voices stilled, their laughter gone. The world will say they chose the deep, but some truths drown themselves to sleep. Beneath this bridge the river keeps the vow the living cannot see, a mother's grief, a memory. My stories burrow deep where they cannot flee. And it's in the darkest corridors of your nightmares that you belong to me. You do. Pleasant dreams.